There was an update on the cargo ship incident in Baltimore that wrecked a bridge. The NFSC, which is the New Federal State of China, it's a news outlet, published an exclusive intel report that the Baltimore cargo ship accident was actually a terrorist attack from China. They claim that China used remote towing technology to wreck the cargo ship. And, they talk about how this port impacts the entire world, not just the United States. A large amount of military shipments, including shipments to Ukraine, actually come out of this port. So what does that tell you? That this was strategic. It wasn't random. What are the odds that an isolated accident like this happens at such an important port where military shipments come in and out, and a large amount of shipments, important shipments worldwide, actually come out of this port, and that military shipments to Ukraine actually come out of this port? Kind of makes you think that it was more strategic instead of random. These attacks, on top of Chinese military-aged men coming through our border, it appears that we're being lulled to sleep by China. I don't think this was the only cyber attack incident from China on something like a ship. I mean, there have been many random F-16s crashing, or any military plane crashing, mainly F-16s, while training, just kind of randomly their systems scrambled. And, I wouldn't be surprised if this is just another instance of China testing out its abilities and its technology on us. And, these are terrorist attacks. I don't know the exact number, but it was something like 12, maybe more, maybe less, people died from this bridge collapsing who were on the bridge. And, wrecking such an important port, not only for us, but for countries worldwide, that's extremely reckless. And, it's a terrorist attack. Obviously, if the government even knew that this was a Chinese terrorist attack, they're not going to come out and say it. This has been our strategy with opposing countries during this whole administration, during the Biden administration. Look how we handle Iran. We cower down to them. We let them know before we respond to them killing 3 of our soldiers. We respond to them, giving them advance notice on what we're going to do in Syria, making sure they get all important military leaders out of there. So it's more of a show than anything. So, the Biden administration's weakness towards opposing countries, they cower down to them. So even if they did know that this was a Chinese terrorist attack, they're not going to do anything about it. They're going to act like they don't know. The intel report actually alluded to possibly U.S. military officials knowing about this beforehand. They didn't have enough evidence to conclusively say that, but they alluded to that being a possibility. So is this a crisis sort of going on behind the scenes of China using their cyber attack technologies and wrecking our equipment, not only our military equipment, but hacking cargo ships to take down ports that are so important ports like this? This is a problem. They don't fear us. They're going to test this stuff out. And if they're testing it out on U.S. specific infrastructure systems like power grids, or our own military equipment like F-16 fighter jets, then what are they preparing for? Are they preparing to do something large? Are they testing our responses on things? There was little minor cyber attacks on power grids nationwide, and then the AT&T incident happened. That could have been a cyber attack, could have not been, but if it was, that's a widespread. They're looking at our response to widespread stuff like that. Not only testing our systems, like our infrastructure systems and power grids, but they're looking at how we respond. And if we respond by not responding and lying to our own citizens, if this was indeed a Chinese cyber attack, then that's not good, because we're giving China the wrong message. We're giving China the message of, we will do nothing if you launch a widespread cyber attack against us. And it's fully possible. The government has talked about how outdated our systems are, but they're not doing anything about it. And even if we did do something about it, it would take a long period of time. It's probably too late to do that. our systems are not hard to hack into. Our power grids are extremely vulnerable, and I'm not saying something will happen, but if China is doing this stuff to test our response, then what are they preparing for? Why else would they be doing stuff like this? Why else would they be hacking into our power grids and testing our responses? Why would they be launching terrorist attacks like this cargo ship incident? I mean, that is a declaration of war. Launching a terrorist attack against another global superpower and taking down such an important port like that is a declaration of war, essentially. In today's age, there's really no official declarations of war. I mean, if you're looking for one, that's a phenomenal one. To hack into a cargo ship and take down a bridge, kill people, and like I said, take down such an important port like that. I mean, what else do you need? So if this is true, if this was a Chinese cyber attack, terrorist attack, then we need to do something instead of handle it behind the scenes. Even if they did, the Biden administration knew this was a Chinese attack, you could say that they're not going to portray to the public their response. I don't think they would have a response. And if they did, it would be some stop, don't do that again. Shame on you, don't do that. I mean, it would be nothing. And that's not me assuming. That's me seeing how the Biden administration has reacted to, like I mentioned earlier, the Iranian attack. I mean, it wasn't a direct Iranian attack. It was sort of through its proxies. But, I mean, they're going to come out and openly claim Iran did this. Iran's the bad guy. Iran's the bad guy. But then they're going to give them advance notice on what they're going to do. And it's extremely weak. We are portraying ourselves to all of our enemies and to the world as extremely weak. We will not respond if you do stuff like this to us. So, like I said, if this is indeed a Chinese terrorist attack, we need to do something conclusive to send a message to China. This will not be tolerated. But we're not going to. This is not going to happen. So, again, you have to ask the question of, why is China doing this? Why are they testing our response on this? Are they preparing for something much bigger? Are they preparing to shut down our power grids, or even if it's not something as widespread as that, hamstring us militarily and then launch an attack on Taiwan to where we're limited in our response? There was already a satellite picture of China had set up in its training facilities streets that mocked and looked exactly like the downtown, like the capital area of Taiwan, wherever the Taiwan government buildings are in Taiwan. There were streets set up identical to wherever that is. So they're training for this. They are preparing for an attack on Taiwan. So we've already said many times we will blindly support Taiwan and defend them against China. And, you know, if China launches something to where we can't respond right away because if there's an attack, like I said, even if it's not a widespread terrorist attack, I mean, they've been potentially testing on knocking down our F-16s. So, if they did launch an attack on Taiwan and we tried to respond, and they've already tested that, they've got it down to a T of how to knock down our jets, it could become a problem. So this is very interesting. I alluded to it early in the last podcast and on clips that this could have been a cyber attack. This was kind of a really weird thing that happened randomly. There's not a lot of cargo ships just kind of losing power and wrecking bridges like this, especially at one of such an important port like that. But now we have intel reports like this. The NFSC seems convinced that this was a cyber attack with the remote towing technology from China. So that's really concerning. You have to wonder, like I said, what is China preparing for? And this is hands down, this no debate, this was a terrorist attack. We had a potential terrorist attack from China in our own borders, knocking down our own infrastructure. That is a problem, and something that should be addressed if true and handled. It won't be because of who we have as our leader. It's extremely troubling, and we have to stop portraying ourselves as so weak to other governments and other countries worldwide, especially our enemies.